I know, because I'm like, I'm going and I'm going. I'm like, let's go. So then I do have to get off.
We're live now, so thank you all for tuning in another week of the journey through the cards. That's your tagline, right, Gina? Journey through the cards.
Guided by the cards.
Oh, got it. I don't know where I got journey from. I think that'd be a
Mm.
good tag too. But we're guided by the cards, Croatia. And maybe we can call it the journey through the cards. I don't know, our weekly check-in. So Gina was just mentioning, I did kind of put it in there. You were talking about Chiron and the moon coming together,
Mm.
Pluto moving, and was it Chiron
Chiron and Jupiter and Venus.
Venus?
Hmm.
Well,
When the moon moves into Aries, now that could be, but it just was. It'll be probably mid March.
Jupiter. Well, let me edit that. Then. Jupiter and
Jupiter and Venus
Venus.
are conjunct right now
Yeah,
in Aries. You have Mercury and Saturn in Aquarius today also. So conversations, that's going to be a lot of your conversations and getting something out. Maybe it may feel harder because Saturn is there, but Saturn needs you to kind of persevere through and really speak it out. And then what is today? An 8 of Spades day. So, um, you know, that Saturn is 8, so it makes sense. As above, so below.
It's always lining up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Gina, I like what you're saying, that we are in places like before we went live, you were talking about how we've never experienced some of these things before.
Right. You have, as I was talking before we got on live, the biggest transits. March is a pretty big month energetically okay, so back it up to the cards, King of Hearts month, right? So, and we have a lot of heart, we're in Heart Week. So that's why I was saying in the clubhouse room, like, protect your energy, your feelings, your emotions. Because it's big, and then you have, like, we're in a 9 of Hearts week. So next week in a 10 of Hearts week, we have Saturn moving into Pisces. And then at the end of the month, you have Pluto dipping into Aquarius. That's the thing where no one on this planet right now has experienced, so we all are in for, something that nobody has ever really been through. So yeah, and I think we were talking about the 0 degree and how it'll, that 0 degree of just that energy. So it'll be fun.
To me, it just sounds so much like new ground,
Yeah, for
new
sure.
ground, new ground. And like we'd also touched on before people came in, it's like anything we can do to let go of what's happened and start as clean as possible with where we're going, like, do it.
And this week is the best week because it being the 9 of Hearts energy, it is like releasing. Nines to me are about, maturing, growing, letting go, boundaries, no, um, and being able to shed that skin, purge those emotions, purge the wounds. Yes, you'll feel the waves of those emotions because that's that heart energy. And then the 9, because nines are like cycles. And sometimes it's a cycle of things coming in, and sometimes it's a cycle of things going out. And you have to be able to embrace both, right? You can't, I think opening up to both is key because that's the maturity. It to me, it keeps you free because then you're not attached to what's leaving or what's coming. You allow. And I think that's the energy. And then when we move to that 10 energy now, because you have let go of the things and release the whatever, even like we were talking about relationships before we got on, and how you were saying, is it a wish fulfilled or whatever you said? And if a relationship is ending this week, it probably is a wish fulfilled. You just might not see it like that, because if it's not good for you, if it's not a part of your growth, if it's not aligning up where you need to go or be, it's okay to shed that. Because like you said, we're starting new ground, where we're entering new territory. So why would you want to take something that is not, supposed to be on your journey with you into this? So this week is a great energy, a great like a shedding of the skin, the purge, and you're able to kind of enter that new energy without all that baggage, and really feeling more free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm working with a Queen of Clubs, Queen of Hearts couple. He's a Queen of Clubs, she's a Queen of Heart. And they have been through infidelity and layers of hurt and betrayal. And they are, in fact, trying to get the courage to let go, because the idea of trying to keep it like it's been and go forward, it's not going to grow something that they want to have, right? But that desperate way you hold on because of the idea of love, children, all of that. But the thing is, like I said to them, I said, but the only way to find out what it is to let go of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
so yeah, you have to, you can't avoid it.
What's happened.
Yeah.
Because every time we recycle what happened back into the now, we're no longer in clarity, freedom, possibility, because we're pretty much rewiring it with the same old stuff. You know, so, and to be near people sometimes, because we have like ways that our energies just kind of trigger each other. We live in like mutual projections where we kind of like activate each other's inner chambers sometimes, especially when someone can be such a mirror for you.
That part. And it's the
No,
9 of
that's the
spades.
part, the mirror, the basically when you fall in love with somebody and you're like, here's my whole heart, you can be darn sure that anywhere in your body that you block love, you're going to be meet.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to meet it straight up, because that's what happens when you open up to love. You find out where you block love.
Yep. Yep. And you know, the 9 of hearts, the first card is the 7 of clubs. So, you know, it's your thought. It's those thoughts that get us, you know. So
Yep, loop-de-loops, loop-de-loops.
Yeah, we was in an Aquarius class last night, and she was talking about the clubs, and that's where evil exists. So you can create these stories or these patterns or wherever it may be, this fear in your mind, and you totally believe it, you know. And she was talking about how the 3 of clubs and 3 of spades are somewhat like this energy that influences other people. You know, they can convince themselves so much, and they can almost influence other people because they tell the same story, or they're working through the story in their head mentally, just trying to make sense of it, trying to gain that stability emotionally. And but it starts to affect, you know, how they project themselves, you know, in the story they tell, and just encapsulates their whole belief system, you know, because you're creating this idea, and this idea is manifesting, or it may not be. It is manifesting mentally, you know, even if it's not a physical manifestation, or if it's not a reflection of the current, I guess you can say, reality of or everybody else's shared reality. You know, they can really take hold on to, you know, just their environment. So you really have to decipher, or they have to decipher between what's real and what's not, you know, or kind of like Madeline says, like the story that you tell kind of encapsulates you, and you start to project, you know. But they have, like you said, that 7 of clubs, Jack of
Mars.
clubs, and
Mm-hmm.
Uranus, you know.
I
So
think the biggest thing too for them is that their cosmic lesson is the king of clubs. So you have to master your mental. That's the key with that
Mhm.
energy. You
Yeah.
have to. And then add in the fact that they have the 7 of,
Like
well,
your
add it,
clubs, what's your mantra? Like, what are you saying to yourself? Because
right,
that's how you regulate your mental. Is like, what songs are you listening to? What are you saying? How are you
right.
talking about stuff? Like, that's to me, that's how it works.
Mm-hmm. And then what's the conversation in here first before it ever even, you know, comes out? And that they also have the 7 of spades and Pluto. So they really have to, like, it's an interesting energy for sure. But that king of clubs is their cosmic lesson. It is, like you said, discerning, you know, seeing through the BS, seeing through, you know, what's truth, what's not. And, but it starts here. It starts internally. It's not even, can't be dictated by the outside. It has to come from here, because this is what dictates the outside. So
See, that's an interesting thing, because it seems like the way the world grew so empowered through intellect, I'm not sure that that's our like superhero powers fully. You know, I think the intellect is definitely a tool that we need to use, and we need to keep dialed on a song that we'd want to sing again and again and pass along. But there's also a way that there's a wisdom, an innate wisdom, an intuition, a clarity that comes when you can quiet your mind and listen. Right.
yeah.
And if the mind's so busy running after its story, like what you talked about, like we come I don't know if I want to say possessed, but it's like the story gets a spirit, it gets an energy. Do you know what I mean? Like, think about when you tell certain stories about times, like, oh, did you ever tell them about the time that happened? Your whole body's like, oh yeah, that time. Like, not always anymore. I mean, now there's things that happened to me 30 years ago that when I talk about it, I don't feel that. But sometimes when something happened more closely, it's still alive, if you will.
Well, your cells remember. I mean, that's the thing. They're that's why what this does, what
With
this
this, she's like, oh,
what this does, and then what comes out here is what this then create, you know what I mean, manifests, because this is all listening, this is all responding to here. I mean, I'm guilty of it. That's one of my biggest things, is really having to sit with, and I tell my clients too, especially in the weekly readings, like, sit with your thoughts. Like, you have to you can't just think the thoughts and then keep it. Like, you really have to see, where is this coming from? Why am I thinking this way? And it might not even be yours. Like, that's what I really have realized. It's not your thoughts. It's probably somebody else's that you've now just completely perpetuated over and over and over again, until you unpack those layers and really get to the root of it. And then, more importantly, create your own thoughts. That's the key, I think.
Yeah, think of like the kid who wants to grow up and make their parents happy or proud, and then they think they have to be a certain way for their parents. And meanwhile, their parents got older and smarter, and they're like, you don't have to be no way for me. Why are you still thinking you got to be some way for me?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But so that's where we can get free ourselves, but we're so accustomed to it. It's just an interesting way that we stay gripped by ideas.
Yeah.
What do you got there?
No, I was just showing how the relationship, like Gene was saying, between your emotions and then the clubs, like in a pure spread, all the hearts transform into a club, and then all the spades transform into a heart. So it's like that connection between the mind, or the emotions in the mind, and then also the physical body, your physical experience, going into the emotions, So there's this connection, like you said, that we all kind of have, just spiritually, and
Yeah.
how it operates, and we may not value it, or see the connection in the relationship, because we so much in our heads and our emotions, so it's like changing these things or diverting it into more positive things, and it's not saying that even if it is positive, there's humps and bumps and everything in the road that can deter you, and what would that determine affect your emotions, your mind, and then also your physical experiences going into your emotional experience, so most definitely, like the which one was kind of like the nine of clubs transforms into the eight of diamonds, so I think the nine of clubs has a lot of potential, right? It has a lot of monetary potential. It has the six of diamonds and the queen of hearts, I think, and they have the desire with that Saturn Venus position, so they do desire luxury and money and wealth, and some type of factions, but a lot of times they can deter their self, based upon their emotions.
Well, that, and they're, because they're that nine, they have to, they can't hold on to they I feel like they have their mind is like right at that, like, the top of the hill, the cusp, and they have to get to that point. And once they do, because they do in a spirit spread, they transform into that eight of diamonds. You're right, they can be very successful. In the life spread, their Jupiter card is the king of diamonds. So, but they have to get out of their own way mentally. They will restrict themselves with their thoughts. They have to, they really are a energy of mass mental power. But if they can't let go, I always say the nines, back to even to the nine of hearts, you stay in that tunnel. You stay in what's trying to leave. You stay in the loss or the disappointment, but it's only that because you see it like that. You're not seeing it as a wish fulfilled, that we were talking about earlier. You're not seeing it as a fulfillment, or a I've reached this point, you're holding on to what's trying to go, what's trying to leave, you know.
And not recognizing that a lot of times it's, I'm gonna say all the time for me, it's happening for us, right? So a lot of times whatever we're living through is happening to help us persist in evolution. So to recognize it as, this is happening for me to learn and to grow and to move through and to learn what I can and keep going, that's going to be far more liberating than like, that shouldn't have happened, that's never going to happen again, I'll be damned if, and then you're down the pipe, like you're going to try to control life.
Yep.
Control it.
Because like we touched what we just said, nines are cycles. Things going in or coming in, things going out, and being okay with both, like allowing, not staying stuck in what's coming and not staying stuck in what's leaving, but just seeing it, just like the ocean, just like the tides. It goes in, it goes out, and each time, there's like you said, that growth, that evolution. It's a mature, it's to mature. And it's interesting too, all the reads that I've been doing this week for my weekly reads, everybody has heavy nine energy, not just daily, but like the whole, in long range, displacing Pluto's, whatever result cards. It makes sense to me because we're transiting from that side, and so something else to really take into is right now Saturn is in 29 degrees and Pluto is at 29 degrees. So to me, that's that, not like that shedding of the skin. You're transitioning into, from 29 to 0. That's that 9 energy. So it's no surprise, or not by accident, that every client I've done a read for this week has heavy 9 energy, myself included. So you see that, and I can connect it to what's happening in that space. So it makes sense to me. And ideally, hopefully, helping them make it make sense, because those nines that's no joke sometimes for people.
So I just want to go backwards a little bit. So Rashad, you said that and Gina confirmed that the clubs mostly turn into hearts. Is that what you said? Or the hearts?
Yeah, and the spiritual spread. Yeah, so spiritual spread is a little bit more. You can just see it better. You don't have to like
Yeah.
move around
I mean,
between
I'm
each
a
part.
big fan of the idea that the smartest part of us is our hearts. I just really love that part. Me living in the community of elders, we just love this idea that in the heart is where we're smarter. Not that we don't need to use the whole house. So I'm, because when we talk about it, from my learning so far, the hearts are the babies, and to me that goes into how they're the innocents, how they're the ones that are not as like filled with ideas of what they think has to be or how it has to be. They're more curious and more open. So in the past, I've thought of it like the elders and then the children and the adolescents and then the babies. I mean, whatever the order was. And now I'm recognizing that if we're to grow from a new place, the innocence of the hearts and the children would be the smartest information we could use right now.
No, yeah, I just made a post about that actually, and the hearts are the youngest, or we see them as the babies of the cards. That's why the spring is representation of the first season that comes in, like we're in heart season right now, right? So it comes in as the hearts, it goes into the clubs of the summer, then diamonds, and then the spades. So that is the order of the Magi calendar and the seasons as far as the cards. So yeah, the hearts are the babies. It is the wisdom. It is the ace of hearts coming out of the garden as Nina describes it. It starts with the ace and the children. And that goes into their learning process and discernment and all those things. And I was just, I don't know what I was speaking above. It was the King of Clubs day, and I was talking as the Queen of Hearts and Pluto, and I was just speaking about the sensitivity that particular card can have, with that Queen of Hearts and Pluto, and because it's a club, and then also around eating and your eating habits and all of those things, and I was just like, what is the ability for them to discern as far as what's good for them, as far as like what they eat and their food, and to understand like, okay, this doesn't feel good, this doesn't make me feel good, so I don't think I should eat this. My body doesn't want this, you know. So the ability for your body to take on and respond emotionally, even when it can't say nothing, you know, it's like children can't speak, you know, they can only express their emotions to you, you know. But you have to really listen clearly, you know. But it's kind of hard. So they know what they feel, but kind of hard for us as another human to tap into another person sometimes, right? But we can. I know we can. But just wrapping your head around it may seem crazy. But yeah. So your body is telling you, you know, even if it can't say anything, what's good for you and what's not good for you. You know, it's just us listening to those. To those
Mm-hmm.
emotions, and kids and children are as pure as they come, right? You know, like
They
they
tell no lies.
right. They know exactly what's good or what doesn't sound good or what doesn't feel good, you know. So yeah, we definitely have to listen to the children, kind of like they have this keen sense of or animal instincts, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
as much as we like to teach children, you know, I think we can learn a lot from them, or like we can learn a lot from animals. I was watching this one video yesterday of this cat on the top of this building, and it was like laid out in the sun. I was like, all right, what's going on? Like, what is these animals telling us? Like, we're getting
Chill
less
out,
sun these
man. Let's
days.
chill.
Right, we all need some more sun these days. What's in the food? We're not getting proper
I think
nutrients,
it's to
so
go
we gotta get some
slower.
sun.
Kids go slower. You know, when they get excited, they move fast and stuff like that, or if they're in the mixed energy. I had a fun day yesterday with some little kids, so I'm like really so inspired right now by them. But they just go slower and they're more aware of what's going on, and they're not as programmed. I mean, whatever, you know, I don't know who's doing it or not doing, you know, I'm not a big fan of the they word, but like they're not living in this mundane world that we're all trying to like evolve through. They're fresh, they're clear, they're asking questions, they're looking at things for the first or second time. You know what I mean? It's like it's different eyes.
I also think they live in the moment. They're
Oh,
in the
totally.
now. So they're
Totally.
not in the oh no, what's
Mhm.
happened, or oh no, what's coming. They're right now. That's why play is there. You know, there's play therapy, because you get
Mm-hmm.
them in the now, you get them in a
Mm-hmm.
that's why I talk about like the threes, the fives, and the jacks. They have to stay in that playful, mindful, you know, that youthful, not fear, and play, because play, especially for the threes, is their creative juju. It's what
Mm-hmm.
makes them, you know, be able to kind of branch out in the different directions. If they get
Mm-hmm.
into fear, they will shut down, you know. So for me, the kids are more about being in the moment, being in the now, and then you don't lack. You're not looking or searching or, you know, what worrying or anything. You're just enjoying your play-doh. Whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that's really probably riddling them is the projection of their parents of whatever they're
Absolutely.
feeling. Because the kids
Mhm.
often, in my experience, they're reading you, just like you said. Like we don't read emotions, we do read emotions. We respond to emotions subconsciously, constantly, and kids feel it and they notice it. They move around it, or they'll bring you a little something, or they'll ask you a question, or they'll go slower because they're like, "What's up over there? Are you all
Mhm.
right?"
My baby comes and gives me a hug. Oh, like it's not. It's like it's like she knows Mama needs a hug.
Mhm.
So it's nice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I like the idea that we're recognizing that the intelligence comes from all directions, because, you know, part of that, like, ask the elders. The elders know. The elders may see from their life and their experiences and keep a sweetness, but unless they have a childlike heart, they could be curmudgeons.
You say curmudgeons? What does that mean?
Yeah, like a curmudgeon's like I don't know, kind of like a salty, kind of like
Yeah.
nega Nancy, you know what I mean?
A grump.
Like grumpy, you know, like
Those
cold.
nuns, that, yeah, I think when it comes to the nuns, I always talk about how it's a journey. You know, like there's always this built up story that when you get there, it's become solidified. And you gotta think about it, nine of hearts, it's Saturn, so it's like
Mhm.
it's really crystallized, right? Or it's really
Mhm.
Mhm.
became a pattern of your emotions or a pattern of how you're responding to life. So by the time you get there, I won't say you're set in stone, but now you're complete, and you're going into the 10. Now you're going into the community and working with other people. And if you
Mhm.
haven't let go of the past of anything that happened with that nine, then it is going to be a reflection of how you respond to everyone else around you. So yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. So then what do you think this whole zero, ollie ollie oxenfree, let it all go so I can be me? Like what do you think the moves are to create like a blank slate for people?
Habits and patterns. I seen someone yesterday was talking about we talked about goals and succeeding. It's like you set a goal, but really you need to set a pattern or a habit. Like, what am I going to do to succeed, and maybe change the pattern, my mental pattern, or what habits will I put in replacement of what is deterring me from that success or that goal. So what are you going to physically do or mentally do to help yourself? Like, I was just thinking yesterday, like, I really don't talk to myself enough about the things that I want to see and the things that I want to create, and create this this another mentality, because I think I don't see myself sometimes in the best light based upon my experiences, and that has given me this certain amount of confidence and attitude of even the way that I treat myself and how I see myself, and it doesn't work best for me,
Mhm.
and then you become dependent upon the reflection of how other people see you or the way that other
Mhm.
people talk to you.
Mhm.
But it's all about the internal habits and things that you create. So if it's speaking to yourself more politely, or the way that you may have to forgive people, and try to create a habit around those particular things that you want to see change. Like I said, like that nine of hearts is Saturn. It doesn't get any more real than that. Like, Saturn is coming into Pisces. Like, if you haven't got a taste of reality, and it's going to come full swing here in a few when Saturn goes into Pisces, because they're going to go into the deeper parts of yourself that you may repress, and all the things that you may fear, all the things that you may be feeling emotionally, could you're like, okay, this is the reality that I'm living. Kind of like I was just saying, like, everything becomes crystallized around things that you want to see happen maybe in the future, or where your happiness sits and lies. So how
Mhm.
do you get to that happy place? But then also, how do you deal with the things that's been holding you back from getting there as well? Your deep
Mhm.
subconscious fears or dreams or whatever it may be.
Well, I like what you said, Rashad, because really you just said that I've been telling myself a story that doesn't let me grow as big as I am, or as clear as I am, or as true as I am. Like, because we get those things stuck inside of us. Do you know what I mean? Like, I am going to go into the tree game for a second, but when a tree experiences trauma, like layered trauma. Do you know tree traumas like bugs, droughts, things like, the runoff is funky, there's burning. Like, so trees have their own levels of trauma where things have to be compromised. They have to reorganize themselves. Like, it's not just like, oh, I'm just going to be a tree. There's no problem. It's like, oh, something's going on. I got to reset it. When a tree has layered trauma, the tree goes into decline because it doesn't know that it has enough strength to grow to its full potential anymore. And when I heard that, I was like, that's exactly what happens to humans. We get so trapped in our trauma stories or our less than stories, or feeling like a failure. It's like, why is this always happening to me? Like, what is this? I use mantra madly, and I'm like, every day and every way I'm getting better and better. I can always see more clear. I am not moving from fear. I see more clear every day. I'm getting better and better. Like, knowing I'm here to mess up, I'm here in a classroom, and I'm going to continue to get more clear, because if I let those layered traumas inform my existence, I'm going to go into decline and not evolve. Too far down the pipe, or does it make sense?
No, no, yeah, it definitely makes sense. Kind of like the fish in the small fish tank, like, or any
Mhm.
other.
Yeah, they need more room to grow. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
Hmm.
yeah, yeah,
Totally, Rashad. Same thing.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So you put yourself in the bubble or a box. Even the eight of clubs. Yesterday was the eight of clubs day. What was yesterday?
No. Yesterday was
Ace of Spades, win the Spades season. Right?
Yeah, yesterday was the Nine of Spades.
Nine of
Actually, think about it. March 1st, the King of Hearts month, the first day is the Nine of Spades. So it made like, and I was, and for me personally, I'll be very raw. I was emotionally, like I was shedding and purging and all kinds of stuff yesterday. And then it clicked like, well, duh, it's a King of Hearts month. So to master those emotions, to mature, to grow, to grow, right, in the fish tank or as a tree, however, you have to make space. You have to let go. You have to make space. So Nine of Spades is the first day in that King of Hearts month.
Yeah. And then the regular spread, it actually challenges or supports the King of Hearts. And then here you can see in the spiritual spread, it challenges the challenge by the King of Hearts. So, it's King.
And then in a Nine of Hearts week, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. In a Nine of Hearts week, and then the month ends in a King of Hearts week. So you can't even make this shit up.
But we can live it intelligently and recognize that something smarter than us is laying it out, and that holding on to shit is just a choice, man. It's just a choice. Like I also had a very big day yesterday, though mine was more about clarity. March is a very sensitive time. My first son that I put up for adoption, that's when his birthday was. So I just took some emotional dives my whole life in March. Now, knowing it's a King of Hearts month, I'm like, oh my God, no wonder. But what I found yesterday was, for some reason, for the first time since I said I'm moving, I felt like really sad about moving and leaving where I've been living my entire life, like between New Jersey, where I am, New York, and Warwick. Like I've only been here. I've traveled some, but it's the only place I've lived for 58 years. So I felt some sadness. And when I felt the sadness, I recognized how I didn't want to bring the sadness out. Like I wanted to kind of be like, it's okay. It's okay. And I was like, wow, think of how many times I got up and went and did the next thing and kept going, but was packing different things that didn't necessarily get bubbled through or expressed or let go all the way, So then I'm not telling people it, but then my voice has a despair tone, the twins will say, or my grandchildren be like, why is your heart so blue? Like, why aren't you more happy, Grandma? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm happy. Like, nah, you're not happy. Your heart's a little bit blue. So like, you know what I mean? Where do they get it? Who knows? But I recognized yesterday that I want to do something this time when I leave to let go and grieve and meet the sadness so that it doesn't come with me like, oh, I had to do all these sad things, but I'm okay. It's like, no, I lived all those things and they're done and I'm more than okay. I'm ready to start again. Like that shit's done. Like it's over there. It's already done. We can't have a different past. I can't make believe I have a different past. But I really, really felt yesterday how one of the things that happens is when we have to get up and go and be strong, we're packing a little bit. And I don't know that I want to be so packed with anything anymore. I really want to be able to release it and recognize it for what it is and say what I have to say, thank that person, sing that song, like whatever it is, it's going to move it through, because holding sadness or confusion, it really does make us more trapped by the illusion, right? Because someone else's sadness, like, oh yeah, right, it is really horrible. Oh, it'll never get any better. Like we like live in that funk, right?
So, my Ace of Spades daughter is home. I went and picked her up yesterday. We were talking on the way home, and take advice from her. She says, I have a funeral in my head.
The Ace of Spades has a funeral.
I love it.
Oh my God,
I'm having
funny.
a funeral for my earlier self. Yes, thank you, Jill. I said thank you very much.
I died. I was driving and I'm dying laughing. I was like, that's so appropriate. That's so perfect.
So on point.
And everybody needs to know that. Like, you need to have a funeral. She's like, I have a funeral in my head for them and I'm done. Move on.
Yeah, like let it all the way go. Let it all the, I don't know about burying it, but like letting all the way go so that you're not moving like still funky from it.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, maybe 10 minutes and it's on to the next.
I mean, think how many times people start dating and they start dating by saying all the things that happened with other people they were in relationships with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That's
you pretty much
resurrecting.
took
Wouldn't
Wouldn't that
everybody
be
to bed.
resurrecting?
You took everybody to bed with you now. It's like, hi, you're new to me, but let me tell you what I'm bringing.
Well,
It's
it
like,
wouldn't
I
that be
don't.
considered like resurrecting it then? Now you're resurrecting the dead if you
Yeah.
did, or maybe you didn't dead it.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't have a funeral.
Right.
You just put it
Yeah.
in a box
Yeah,
to
you're
come
like,
back out.
well, I'm glad you're here. Let me take out the box of all my other relationships so I can project them onto you. Like, no, get the hell out of here. I don't want that.
I've definitely made that mistake last
same.
summer.
Same.
I think, and it was more so of trying to explain because
You're welcome.
I found myself trying to explain what happened in my last relationship and it affected me emotionally at that current time. And then after she left, I was like, "What did you just do? Like you just told her about all the things that made you sad and what you didn't like, and you projected on to her like she did something on purpose, you know." So it's like, no, just fix whatever that was, or maybe explain it in a sense of this is what I like and this is what I want, you know, and so how can we maybe make that happen instead of telling this story about how someone gave you the best experience of the worst experience of your life and how you're replaying it and probably make her feel like she's responsible of doing something to you like the last person did. So it's like, even though it could be
You're like giving her a script.
reality.
You're like, here you go. Here's
the script. Like this is talk to me nicely.
Or else you heard the story.
Right. And it was like, dang, you know. And then I seen yesterday, like I'm on this, giving all my, I'm on this app, and like someone said, gosh, a red flag is someone talking about their ex. I was like, I can understand that. I definitely did that. Like, we're not going to talk about the past. I apologize.
So you have to have a funeral in your head.
Oh, I love the funeral in your head. Just have it over. Just let it all go. And like, you know, when you leave a funeral and you have the big cry, like you got to let it go. You know what I mean? Like that's the way you really let people die in a good way. Like you keep the love alive. Like I'll say relationships are a school, right? Like life's a school and relationships are the classroom, right? So when anyone asks me about my relationships, whether it's through work or people that I've married or dated, I talk about what I learned. I'm like, oh, I learned how, you know, I needed to share with others, or I learned how important it is to co-parent and to have, like, I learned stuff from every person that I was with. I don't ever share the stories like, oh, that person was so mean. Like, it's like, I grew and learned so much from that. Like, there were some bumpy parts, but from that place, I'm more spiritually aligned, or from that place, I use my voice more than I used to. And from that place, I'm more clear about my needs.
Because I think that you know, the relationships show you what you want or don't want. So then now that's the thing. Like that's what the cards have always, you know, it starts with you. That person was just showing you, you know, and you either then, you know, move accordingly, you know, and how you want to. And you know, everybody moves through relationships differently with, you know, talking about that ace of spades. What you just said, they have those 2 9s in their spread. So that is that funeral. That death.
It's like, were the flowers pretty? Do they have nice flowers? Like, what did they look like?
But I, you know, one of the biggest things I've tried to get, you know, for her to see is like, you know, but ideally, once that death happens, it's better than you end up better. You end up in a new, because you are a constant energy of new, of first, of beginning. So to be able to that's actually pretty powerful to me, because that's a superpower one to be able to do, but to see it as, okay, and being able to kind of see the new beginning that they represent, you know, and operate from there, and not stay in the death, not stay in the loss, not stay in that.
Yeah. Why would, if I die, if my children are going to stay sad and not be happy, then I did not inspire a great life. Because like, I mean, I think back when I was a kid, how my aunties would be like, somebody died, they'd be wearing black for like a year.
Yeah.
She wear black for a year now. I said, what? Why would she wear black for a year? Because she's mourning. And then and so I'm not suggesting we shouldn't honor people's lives as valuable and important, but if we're still here, we're here to live.
Right. We're in the now.
And if
right?
I'm holding the grief or the sadness of somebody in my everyday, and I can't really laugh too loud or sing too much, because like I know, like when my father died, like the week later, I was up in the rehab screaming, singing, carrying on. They were like, her dad just died last week. And I was just like, and this is what he's listening. And this would make him so happy to know that I'm out here singing with my drum, not dropping, not losing a beat. I'm sad. I cry at night. I miss him. I hear his voice. But like, I'm also here to continue to live my life. So I think sometimes the grief and the sadness or the pain body attachments that we carry, they're that tree energy of the layers of heaviness where we don't even know we could grow bigger. Like, would we swim ourselves out of the water? Would our spirit be strong enough to say, I want to live? Or are we only strong enough because somebody says, please come back, I can't live without you? Come on.
And wouldn't the person that has passed on would want you to live, to not want you to be miserable, to
Yeah,
not want you to be
totally.
sad? That doesn't mean you don't honor like what you did. That's an honor. And they don't go, it's not like their energy doesn't die,
Mm-mm.
so
No.
it's just in a different form now. And you can
Mhm.
actually probably connect on a different level with that energy than you were in the flesh,
So much. I got
and
so
so
much
you can
closer
bring
to
them
him
to
once he
you.
died.
I
Mhm.
mean, when my friend passed years ago, probably within the same week, I want to say even maybe the same days, like really close to it. We were big, Dave Matthews Band was our thing a long time ago,
Oh, nice.
and we would go to shows and party. And sure enough, I started like this. The song came on. I was like, "Whoa, you're here!
Oh,
I can
how
feel you."
cool.
And I was, and yes, it's but it felt like like So I wasn't. Yes, it was sad that she wasn't here anymore, but she's somewhere. She's still here, and you
Mhm.
can connect.
Mhm.
And every time I hear those songs, I'm like, oh yay, it brings me back to that
Mhm.
moment and to our times together. So yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, the child that was born in March, his name is Peter Matthew, and he was born at 11/11 on March 25th. In my entire life, like the whole reason that 11/11 is on everything that's me is because that's the time he was born. And my family included all knows this because they just watched me like, Mom, why do you always stop at 11/11? And I always would say a prayer, may you be happy, may you have clarity, and thank you for the catalyst you were to help me grow the best me. I love you, be happy. You're like, or whatever prayer was that day. You know me, I'm constantly rhyming. But like, I would make prayers every time I saw 11/11 for his life, for his prosperity, and thanking him because that bratty King of Diamonds girl who's graduating high school thinking, like, don't even, whatever, like, nothing could fuck me. When I got pregnant and ended up having a child for a year and was a birth mother, let me just tell you, the universe had some big initiation plans for me, and they changed me at the base. Do you know what I mean? Like that was a reorganization, but I used my own clarity to know that like I got to keep using this. Like this happened for me. Even then I knew that. That's why they didn't put me in therapy. I'd be like, I know this is spirits would come and tell me like you have to live through this. I'm like, I know. Let's go. So like, but that's part of this whole I don't have to stay sad. I didn't do anything bad. And it was the judgment I had of myself or the way I hurt other people. That's what I think really is the hardest part of the letting go is knowing we hurt other people or believing other people hurt us maliciously.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so that's where it gets so toxic because he's a baby. He certainly didn't try to hurt me. You know what I mean? Like that's what the universe plan was like. Oh, you're going to think you can do whatever you want. All right. Well, here you go. See what happens now. And thank God because it humbled me and taught me so much for that to happen. So I think if we can look at everything that's happened in our life as a classroom to inform us to be our best selves, it's just a lot more fun way to look at it.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't feel anything but thankful for the fact that I grew through it. And I'm just so excited to really know my next life, not carrying sadness for letting go. Like, even as I do let go of everything I know and all the comforts that this is, that I can trust that everything I need will be where I'm going.
That's like that's like that line and statement is all the nine of spades and challenged by that king of hearts. That's
Mhm.
what that it sounds like, is the emotional attachment and having to get through and not worrying about the future, what you don't see at this particular moment, and not letting
Mm-hmm.
it affect you emotionally, and having that
Mm-hmm.
emotional strength as you were speaking about, to have faith, and to making sure that and feeling like you're in alignment, the six of spades there, right? With that nine
Mm-hmm.
of spades within the death and the rebirth of the whole process, and continue and having that continued habits and focus of making sure that you're speaking kind to yourself, and speaking the right words, and not letting it affect you emotionally, and not letting it be a challenge. So,
And
Mm-hmm.
then, the nine and the six are just flip flop, right?
mm,
So when you think
Mm-hmm.
about it, and being able, like I said, it's
the
cycles of
habits.
going in, because when you look at the six, it starts at the top, and what does it do? It goes back into itself. So it is still, it's all a reflection. It's all,
Mm-hmm.
that with, and true, like you said, just how the nine of spades has that king of hearts and that six of spades. I don't know, it makes sense to me.
Oh yeah, and it is all about yourself because being able to let go and grow means that you're not going to take on the responsibility of hurting other people. Because in that story, I ended up hurting a lot of people because I wasn't doing what they wanted me to do. So
Mhm.
that was the big part of making it back about me, not like selfishly, more like I have to do what's best for me and trust that when I do what's best for me, it'll eventually be what's best for everyone else too. Because if I try to do it, and I'm not saying I don't think for the good of all, but I'm saying, what do I need to do right now? Like I said to a client the other day, 10 of clubs, I'm like, if you know it's what you do next, you got to do it and then let the pieces go where they go. Because if you don't do it because of some story you're telling yourself about somebody else, you're straight up in crazy town. Like you got nothing. You're in the loop of crazy town, going to the buses, like looking for saviors.
Mm.
So yeah. And so I mean we're definitely in the nine story today, huh?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And this is the
Yeah.
only nine that doesn't transform into a 10. All three of the other nines, transformation card is a 10. This transformation is a two of spades.
Which is therapy.
Oh,
Mhm.
which
Which is therapy.
all right, Gary. So far, I tell you, I've done everything they had planned for me, even when I didn't even know it was a plan.
Mhm.
No, I agree. And therapy, yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. It has so much to do with if you can let go to grow right now. And that's where the wish is going to be. And we have no idea what's going to happen. So it's not like you can predict it or make believe you can predict it. Even the smart people like Molly McCord that I listen to, she might throw out a little suggestion, but she's like, we're going to new waters. Like, we have no idea what could happen. There could be earth changes. There could be like, so I mean, that means know you, do you, be true, and see what happens.
Mhm.
Don't make anyone else responsible for you because then we can stand sovereign like the forest and see what happens when we work together. Even if it's in small pockets, I'm starting to accept that maybe the whole world isn't going to work together at the same time. I'm starting to accept that. But I still believe in little pockets we can work together, create a better frequency.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. And I mean, the nine of hearts and the seven of diamonds, right? And that's how I can see that transforming into the two of spades, because it's just going back and forth from one to the other, right? And you're
Interesting.
either going to bring the stuff with you and it'll reflect right back to you, because that's the twos, it's just a reflection. Or if you purge
Mhm.
it and you let it go, now because the twos, there's that individualism that they have to have, right? You have
Mhm.
to be your own individual to connect to that. So I think that's a big part of that nine of hearts, seven of diamonds dance, and then that nine of hearts transforming into that too, because
Mhm.
the sevens are an inside out job. The nines,
Mhm.
that's why you always see sevens and nines traveling together in spreads on weekly,
Mhm.
7 weeks, yearly spreads, for that same reason, to
Mhm.
identify where there is that lack, that no, that fear, whatever it may be,
Mhm.
the conditionings, the imprints, the other people's bullshit, um,
Mhm.
so that you can then, that seven, create it from, once again, recognizing it. The 9 is there to say, okay, if this isn't working, if this isn't healthy, if this isn't conducive to my growth, I can let it go. Right. And then now the 2 of spades, like you said, it is that's why the 9 of hearts can be a card of therapy, because you are releasing, right, to then come into a space where you can, connect to others from a much more, healthier place, without the pain, without the doubt, without the fear. So now your relationships, because 2 of spades is a powerful card in regards to connecting to others, cooperating, working together. But you can't, you can also sabotage if you're stuck in the tunnel, if you're stuck in the fear. Now you're gonna bring that to you in another person.
Yep, I've seen it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So
but I see the time too, and I know Rashad has to go to work, and I know you do too. So I'll be the plugger, but Gina, you can plug your own. But I'll plug that Rashad and Gina both offer readings, and as you can see from listening to them, they have different ways they look at it. So whoever you're drawn to learn more about yourself and the cards, specifically even in families, at Growing with the Seasons, which we're all kind of like play around that idea too, is how do you use the cards to understand who you are in your family, and how to like play your card to grow who you're here to be. So that whole sense of alchemy that comes, that the cards come together, that people come together for the purpose of supporting each other in this evolution that we're living in. So both Gina and Rashad offer readings, and they can be reached out to at Rashad and Cards and Gina Guided by the Cards. And if you want to do the therapy or come into Couples Fishbowl or learn more about Growing with the Seasons, we got a website, gwtsfamily.com. It'll continue to be a place for co-creation, so that we have a vibration and resources that support people to know themselves and be themselves and live more authentically. And so that's what I got to say. Anyone else want to plug anything or share? Gina?
Rashad, we can't hear you. Did you mute yourself? Because I see him talking.
Oh.
Where'd he go?
Rashad? All right, so so Rashad also wants to let you know about the clubhouse that we do at 7:00 on Tuesdays. We're still talking about the Jacks. Go to Rashad and Cards if you want a reading. And Gina's going to tell us about dope minerals, which is another thing that you can get involved with that helps support you feeling better and people's creativity and what you do to help yourself grow. Gina?
Yeah, so thank you guys. This is always fun. I love doing these. Dope Minerals is my company. Magnesium is very important for our health and our well-being. Helps you feel good, helps you sleep, helps you, deal with all kinds of ailments. But yeah, if you are interested in learning more about the cards, Guided by the Cards is my Instagram page. You can reach out to me there. We do our clubhouse room on Tuesday. Are we doing another Jack room then on Tuesday again?
I think we might as well, because we didn't get the Jack of Diamonds and the Jack of Spades in there, really.
Yeah, so if anybody is a Jack of Diamonds or a Jack of Spades, let's come talk some Jack stuff.
Bring it
on Tuesday. So yeah, but enjoy this. This Jupiter and Venus is a beautiful aspect. It's like love generously, love big. Actually, that's a big part of my energy. I sit Venus, Jupiter, and I transform to Jupiter, Venus. So hence the Jack of Hearts being a big love energy, right? So yeah, enjoy this energy of love. And even the 9 of Hearts is agape love, universal love. So you can see even in Jupiter, Venus conjunct, that is exactly this energy. So as above, so below. And when you learn to lean into it and not resist it, it's a lot better.
Yeah. And fully receive and fully give.
Yeah.
Like really fully receive and fully give. Like let it all go and let it all come in.
From an overflow, right? Not a lack.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Rashad, can you speak? Okay. The mute Rashad. He's waving. All right. Well, thank you, everyone who comes around. And if you enjoy listening, check us out. Talk to you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Rashad. Bye, Gina.